Hey there! Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? You might know that feeling of I'm here and you know, people are expecting me to do things. I'm in this role, I'm in this opportunity, but I'm afraid that people are going to find me out. I'm afraid that somebody is going to notice that deep down inside, I'm not good enough. Sometimes it pops up as that feeling of I'm not good enough. Sometimes it pops up as that feeling of I'll do something and I'll get it wrong and I'll be discovered. They'll notice that I'm not who everyone's expecting me to be. Sometimes it can show up as comparing ourselves against others, the person who was previously in this role, or if you're an entrepreneur, or coach, or a leader, or someone on social media or whatever, comparing ourselves to that other person who does live streams, that other person who's a coach, and they look so good, but deep inside, I feel like I can't compare. Does any of that resonate with you? Have you ever had any of those experiences? Well, first up, if you have, please be assured you are so not alone. You really aren't. In fact, various versions of this come up from time to time. For most people, certainly for every single person I've ever worked with or interacted with as a coach, and even in my previous career, these things show up in different ways. We have a tendency as human beings to compare the worst that we see in ourselves, and we are secretly predisposed to be biased towards collecting all that worst stuff we see in ourselves. And then we take it and we compare it to the best that we see in other people. Is that really fair? Come on. So, this imposter syndrome thing, I know it resonates with a lot of people. And that's why I'm very, very excited today to be bringing in my guest, Sharon. So, Sharon is an amazing lady. Um, and I will introduce her to you just before she comes on. But first, we have a creative opportunity here to play. So Sharon's with us. And I'm going to give her a quick introduction and bring her on shortly. Sharon Frazier-Verpooten. Um, I was talking with her just recently before doing this call, and we thought, gosh, it would be so much fun to um, to share what she has to say. So, Sharon's focus these days, she's an educationalist. She's come through the system as a teacher and seen things from that point of view. She's also a mum who's running her own business now, as well as parenting. And her particular focus and passion is on helping kids who are struggling with school, particularly around reading, which becomes a block to everything else and really can so undermine people's confidence, but also with parents who are struggling with that as well. Because are you a mum of a school aged kid? How much mum guilt do we collect and feed and let grow inside ourselves if we're concerned that our kids are struggling, that they're not happy, that they're not flourishing at school, or that we're somehow getting it wrong and not helping them to bring their own potential out? Does that resonate with any of you? So, if any of it does, you are so in the right place because Sharon is all over this. But what I really loved um, about my conversation with Sharon is one of the things about all of us as human beings, and yes, I'm including you in this. You are a human being. As a human being, I mean, really, you are a miracle. You are unique. That's a topic for another call. In fact, I have done a call on just how miraculous you as an individual are. And every single one of us has life experience. We have these unique stories, these journeys that we've gone through. And at the time, we might not have seen them as a positive thing, but looking back, we can go, wow, this is what I faced, and this is how I navigated my way through it. And what has come up in my conversations with Sharon is this topic of imposter syndrome. So I've invited her on this call today, not just to share with us about that kind of education piece. We will get to that absolutely at the end of this call. So stick around. She's going to share with you some tips for parents who have concerns about your kids and how they're doing at school, or how can I support them. But the real juicy part of this as well is Sharon's own learnings from how she has experienced imposter syndrome as she's gone through that evolution, and the things that helped her to really move through that so that she can bring what she has to bring to the world and make a difference in so many lives. So I'm very excited to share this with you. Sharon, I will bring you on in just a moment. First, just before we dive into that, I know I'll get carried away, and there's a chance that we haven't met yet either. So let me introduce myself very quickly as well. I'm Anna McKinlay, and my absolute passion as a mom, as a career woman, as a entrepreneur working from home myself, my absolute passion and calling is to help mums who are running their own business, working from home, wanting to be the best parent they can be. And it can feel so challenging for us to be able to do all of that and feel like we're giving it our best. And what tends to happen is our cup can run dry so easily, and we cannot serve from an empty cup. So my passion is helping you as a mum running your own business to be able to do that and accomplish that, and also be able to be the human being that you want to be for those around you who you love. So with that in mind, I'm very excited to bring Sharon to you, because I know it's going to help and serve you. So I'm going to bring Sharon on now. Welcome, Sharon. So great to have you.
Hello.
And talking about navigating challenges, for everyone, can we do a real human moment here, Sharon? Is that all right with you?
Yes.
Yeah. So for those of you on the call, have you ever had one of those times where you've got everything laid out perfectly, and it's like, oh, right, I just need to do this and do this and do this, and then something happens? It might be a technology challenge, it might be, say, traffic, and then it's like, oh my goodness, I am so crunched for time, right? Resonate with anybody? And then we can get into that state of, instead of relaxing and allowing and going with the flow. So Sharon is here. When I messaged her just a few minutes before our call, where were you, Sharon?
Oh, I was in traffic. I had to go
Yeah.
pick up my kids from the babysitter, and there's all kinds of construction here.
Mhm.
And I was like, our 4:15 call time is not gonna
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually, just for everyone watching, usually we have it nicely laid out. We have a little chat beforehand. Da, 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 da. So Sharon is coming right on from having rushed to pick up the kids, get through the traffic, and so on. So, I mean, before we dive in, actually, Sharon, what do you find in that kind of situation that helps you to actually manage your state, and so that you can come onto a call smiling and you look pretty chilled out?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I think, I grew up in Los Angeles, and
Mm,
so I've lived traffic my whole life. And when I was first kind of adulting, I would get super stressed out, right? I'm sitting in traffic, I'm going to be late. There's nothing you can do.
yeah.
Like, you're going to get there when you're going to get there. And there are a very few times where, like, you're late to the airport and you're going to miss it and the plane's going to fly away without you. But you know what? If that happens too, that has happened to me. I had to go chase the dog and I missed my flight to Hawaii. And I just spent the night in a hotel with my daughter. It had a pool, and we're like, well, our first night of vacation is at LAX at the airport.
Oh, wow. And LAX with the pool, right?
Yeah, it had a
Yeah,
pool. She was happy.
yeah,
I've just kind of learned to make the most of it because, it's going to happen.
yeah. Glass half empty, glass half full, right? And there's something really, so for all of you, whether you're watching live, and welcome absolutely to all of you watching live, welcome. Feel free to drop where you're watching from in the chat, that kind of thing. Would love to hear from you. And if you're watching on the replay, let us know too. But what Sharon has just shared, I mean, if you're looking for life-changing ahas, that's one. And there's so much science around this, but it's just the simple practice of going, I accept things as they are. I can let it be okay. I can accept the things that I cannot change and instead focus on the things that I can influence. And when it comes right down to it, no matter what else happens, we can always influence how we respond internally, right, Sharon?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing is, I've handled traffic before, I can handle it again, and I know that it'll be okay, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And seriously, as parents, as moms, as business people, whichever lens we're looking through it, isn't that honestly one of the most powerful life skills we can have? So thank you so much. That's just a boom nugget right from the get-go. But Sharon, can I just ask you, because we had this fabulous conversation the other day where you were talking about kind of your journey, and I asked you, so why do you do what you do? And you talked about this imposter syndrome concept and how it used to affect you and some of the things you did around it. So I'm wondering if you can share with everybody some of that story and what you learned about it.
Yeah. So I know what we were talking about the other day is kind of my journey.
Mm,
And I became a teacher at 22. And I think I always felt like oh my gosh, I'm fooling everybody. I'm only 22. I'm fresh out of college. I was a school teacher. My husband was a pastor, and I had majored in music. And so I was also leading worship. And I was in this world of grown-ups, people who had kids. I was just married. I'm trying to teach kids. I'm like, I'm just pretending I know what I'm doing. I knew I loved teaching. The other thing was I had played around. I loved to play school as a child. And I remember one of my very first days on the job when I was actually getting paid to be a teacher. And I'm writing those little cards. I don't know if they have them where you are, but at the first
mm,
day of school,
yeah.
kids all come to their desks and their names are written on their cards. Well, I happen to have really pretty cursive handwriting. And so I was writing their names on all their cards. And I was just like, oh my gosh, do they know, are they paying me to do this? Do they know that I used to pretend that I used to like, get out little pieces of paper and write fake names for all my dolls? Do they
I
know?
love it. I love it. Remind me to come back to this. This is you just touched on some of the real magic of creation. But isn't that cool? So you're there on your first day and you're going, oh my goodness, this is like a game in
Mhm.
a way, right? Right.
Yes.
But how does that relate to that? Because you started with, oh my god, I'm fooling everybody. I'm pretending I know what I'm doing, but I'm fooling everybody. And then there you are on your first day going, oh my goodness, this is like a game. This is like my favorite game. So how did
Yeah.
those two relate for you?
Oh, just I think we get into this, when are they going to find out that I don't know as much as they do? I
Mm,
think I've always played that comparison game. Sitting in the teacher's lounge with people who are older than I am, and I'm getting to do what they do. Um, that kind of feeling. And as I went forward in my career, I kept stumbling across upon this every time I got a leadership position. I was like, oh, why am I the one standing here leading everybody and teaching everybody?
yeah.
What makes me qualified? And I know we had talked about the crux of it was I always wanted to give workshops to parents because I felt like, oh, if the parents just knew that these keys to helping their kids be successful in school. But I kept talking myself out of it, like, no, my talk's going to be 5 minutes. What could I say to parents that they don't already know? And it took me a while to realize that I had a wealth of experience. I had a wealth of education. I had played at being a teacher since I was a child, and just really owning, like, how did I find my way through that? It was really owning those things and owning those experiences as, yes, I have been doing this for a long time, and I've been gleaning everything I could from the experts that I knew. And so, now here I am. Yes, I am. I do have a lot of nuggets and information to share with people who haven't had that experience. They've been on their own journey becoming an expert in what they're an expert in. And I've really enjoyed that, like, oh gosh, what is it called? It's almost like symbiosis, right? Like you're an expert in brain research and helping, me to accept and calm down, and I've been working all this time being an expert in teaching children. We do the same thing. Like I've taught children to calm down also, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, just accepting that everybody has this area of expertise that we can glean from and we can lean on each other.
That is absolutely huge. I just love for those of whether you're watching live or on the replay, let us know because firstly, I'm really curious. Do you mind? Those of you watching the call, I'm really curious if any of these questions resonate at all with you because I know that every single one of them struck a chord with me. Who am I to, right? Why me? Why am I the one doing this? Oh my goodness. Who am I to do this? And what do I know? What do I have to bring to this that people don't already know? If you've ever found, and it's that what some people call the inner critic, right? We get this voice or this feeling, voice or feeling, whatever it is, that's saying to us, what on earth do I have to contribute that they don't already know? And what I love, there's a couple of things that I really love about that. So everyone just let us know if any of that resonates because if it does, you're in. I like to think we're good company. You're in good company, right? um, but one of the things is there's really three things that you shared there that I think are very, very powerful. The first one is that you actually shared that you found evidence. You looked at who you are, and you looked for that evidence that actually I've got this unique combination of experience and learning and things, and that's what I bring to it. And what I absolutely love is you talked about that symbiosis. So you went on your journey to create that unique combination, and the people you're talking to went on their own journey to create their own unique combination, but it's not the same combination. So, what I'm hearing from that is you're not saying I have to be the expert who's up there on a pedestal. I'm someone who's bringing a symbiotic or collaborative or complementary expertise to the expertise that these people already have, whether it's the children or the parents. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How cool is that? And it's a massive, massive shift for a lot of us, right? So for all of those who you're watching, we're talking about getting in that journey of getting through imposter syndrome so that you can make the contribution that you want to make in the world, whatever it is. And we're just talking about that importance of collecting the evidence of who you are, right? And the uniqueness of your strengths and your experience, your skills, and that other people have their own unique package. You can be complementary to each other. So I'm very, very curious because as a parent, the parent in me is going, yeah, that makes total sense for me as a parent, talking with you as Sharon. But when we're a parent who is, um, you know, wanting to help our kids, and from a logical point of view, we go, well, look, but I'm older than you and I've got decades more life experience than you. So I know, right? I know what works based on my experience, which is probably way out of date when you think about how the school system in the world has changed, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'll be really clear, I'm parenting teens, right? My youngest is 16 and it's like, boom. But even for younger school aged kids now, there's so much advice coming to them through so many different places now. They're hearing so many different messages. It must be so overwhelming for them. So when I'm the parent and I'm like, okay, I've got my unique package. How what advice would you or thoughts do you have around how I can actually recognize my own child as an expert in their own journey so that they might be more likely to open up to me?
Yeah. I think like what has worked for me as a parent, my oldest is 20
Hmm.
and I was a single mom with her. And in a lot of
Mm,
ways, I had a lot of pride around that because I'd
mm.
been teaching for probably I think about 15 years when she was born. I wanted a child so badly and it didn't come easy for me. But she was really easy. And I thought it was because I was such a great parent, because I'd been a teacher and I read all the right books.
Maybe it was. Yeah, own it.
Well, but then my twins came along.
Right.
And it was like, oh no, it was not you, Sharon, because they are unique and special.
Oh my goodness.
And then my 2-year-old comes along and he's even more unique and special. And I think it's really being able to recognize that all children are unique, and they're an expert in their own journey. You can't be an expert in their journey because you can't get inside of their brain to know what's going on. Like with my oldest twin, Abigail, she gets her emotions go from like 0 to 60 in like
Wow.
seconds flat. And I was trying all of my tricks, like all my bag of tricks that I had training in, and none of it was working. I was a big, proponent of consequences and rewards. So I would be like, time out in your room for 2 minutes because you're 2. She was older, like 5 minutes because you're 5. And she'd go, fine. And I'm like, that's 10 minutes. I hate you. That's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
All of that escalation did not work at all for her. Where like it worked perfectly for my oldest, it worked for her twin brother, but for her, I had to go back to the books and learn a little bit about how to work with her special brain, and then she responds more to love and hugs, and so it, like, as a parent, you probably know, like, it's not one size fits all, and you have to be willing to humble yourself and go back to the drawing board and say, I do not know how to deal with this one, and just go back and relearn and do the things that work for them individually. I would say that's like a blanket piece. It works for so many things. It works for
Mhm.
learning difficulties, but that's what's worked for me with, behavior wise, with my kids
Yeah.
being, different.
Yeah, and the coach in me, of course, is listening to the special case of our relationship as parents with our kids, right?
Mhm.
Our young people. But the coach in me is also thinking, well, this actually applies to all of our relationships, whether close or distant, because it's seeing the other person as that human being. And you use this beautiful phrase, uniquely special. Is that it?
I think so.
Yeah. You were talking about your twins, and your 2 are so uniquely special. And I love that. I
Yes.
love that because it truly is. I mean, if we can actually step outside of whatever frustration we have, because, for my day to go smoothly, I need you to be like this, and it can unintentionally get into that led me down some very slippery slopes when my 2 were younger, particularly as, and looking back, it's like, well, if only I'd known. But we do that with other people in our lives as well. My day and my life would go so much more smoothly. Can't you just understand that all I need for you to do is, right? Or I just
Mhm.
need you to be. And if we can apply that uniquely special to the other people in our lives, even if it's the clerk at the store who's, maybe not giving us the smile that we need right now, or whatever it is, maybe they're uniquely special as well, but just not getting what they need. I think there's something very powerful in that. So it's a slight aside. Um, Coming up, listening to you, because there's the imposter syndrome, and it feels like a lot of this stuff actually has the same kind of roots. The imposter syndrome about who am I to and all of that stuff. And one of the ways that you moved beyond that was really about that recognition that I have my own journey that makes me unique and special, and other people, including younger people, are having their own journey which makes them unique and special. And what I'm hearing is that actually it's about stepping out of that needing to know, or needing to be the expert, or needing to have that right answer at my fingertips, and being open to being curious about them and what their uniqueness is, and so that you can learn about it. That's what came up. I just ask you, does that feel about right? I see you nodding.
Yep.
um, yeah. Do you want to talk to that a little bit?
Yeah. Gosh, There is some work being done in education about social emotional learning. And
Mm.
instead of expecting kids to behave in class, we teach them how to behave. Like,
Uh,
what a concept. And why has it taken us so long to figure this out?
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, but we become it's about being an emotional scientist instead of being an emotional judge, which I feel like what I used to do as a teacher is say, I see this behavior, therefore I'm going to do, like, here are the consequences that happen when I see that behavior. And I'm judging the behavior as, the child is talking in class. It's disrespectful. They must not be getting their work done. I need to do this, this, and this to redirect them and get them to do the thing I want them to do. That's being an emotion judge. And this is all Mark
Mm,
Brackett's work. I'm not going to take credit for
mm.
it, but it was just so, like, you're right. If we become curious and we become that scientist, why is a child talking in the classroom, or like for my son who's dyslexic, why is he just
Oh,
sitting there, for 10, 15 minutes, not able to do anything? The emotion judge is like, your mind is wandering, you're daydreaming, you you just need to be told to get it done. And then, oh my gosh, he's dyslexic. He can't read it. He can't read the
yeah.
directions. He doesn't know what to do. I asked him to, it's called copy work, where we have like a little sentence and he's supposed to just copy it. And he told me that his eyes were getting lost. And so it was a real struggle for him to do that copy work that I thought was so simple.
I really feel for him, the poor kid, because and what happens, I'm just thinking, I mean, for all of us, right, who've got that not good enough, or that imposter syndrome, that I can't live up to expectations. I just had this light bulb go on, going, OMG, oh my goodness. How much of it came because when we were younger, we were in that seat of being judged by others, and you need to show up in this way for other people to be okay, and for you therefore to be okay. um, I'm just thinking, that people pleaser thing that so many of us get. How much of that comes to those expectations, and how can we save our own kids from growing into that as they're maturing? So, that
Yeah.
thank you. That was huge. Um, and I just want to pause because I see you nodding. Do you want to add anything to that?
Um, No, I really resonate with the getting curious, like
Mm,
if you are a parent thinking, how can I, manage this behavior, or my child is struggling in school and I'm getting these parent conferences,
mm,
start by you getting curious about the why, what might be going on. And then again, I think sometimes parents judge and expect teachers to know this already. And I mean, so many years I didn't know this as a teacher because
yeah.
they didn't teach us, And so if you can maybe educate those teachers and those people that are still kind of stuck in this old era of expectations, and just really open that up so that we can all
Mm,
be curious, we can all be learning about everybody's brain works differently. I don't even think
mm,
of it as a disability anymore. If a child has autism, their brain just simply works differently from ours. And
yeah.
it's our job to learn how it works differently, and to
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
something different from what we've always done to really reach them. That's
Yeah.
that's where I've gone.
Yeah, that's just so beautiful. So it's moving away from judging, and through curiosity, moving into what makes this person unique and special, this child, or even the teacher that we're getting frustrated with, because
Mhm.
teachers are under a unique set of pressures too. I just want to pause, and again, whether you're watching on the replay or whether you're watching live. So just a couple of things. The first one is we're actually going to come shortly to some specific tips for you as a parent. There's actually a number there already that that Sharon has thrown in this co-creation. Um, but let us know where you're listening from, and we'd love to know what in particular is standing out for you. And when you share the things that stand out for you as well, just let us know. When you share those, then it also helps you to retain that. That's part of the brain science stuff, right? So just jot that down and let us know and help your memory to hold on to it. And there are some absolute big nuggets here, and a lot of it comes down to that acceptance, doesn't it? Accepting others for where they're at and accepting ourselves. Sharon, we didn't talk about this in our earlier conversation, but it has come up, and I know this resonates with so many people. Um, and that is, we were talking about that judgment piece, right? Where the old kind of framework is judging our kids on, are they behaving in such a way? Are they behaving in a way that's aligned with the expectations, the behavior we want to see? Um, so you know, for me with teenagers, it's it's around, you're doing the study to get the grades to be able to go on that life path that we're told is the right path, and that's even from my experience of going, actually that didn't work for me and my life is so much better. And yet we still get this voice, yeah. Well, at least I do. But what it can translate down to in practice is that thing that we call mum guilt, right? Because we see that external stuff going on with our kids or in the grades or things that the teachers tell us, and we see other people's kids through that filter of we look for the best in others, and we know what's going on internally and we focus on the worst internally. So
Mhm.
and then we get this experience of mum guilt. And what I'm hearing from your own story is that you maybe have danced with that a little bit yourself at times. Yeah. So I just wonder if you want to talk to that and how you've navigated it so that you can move beyond the guilt. Because when we're in that emotion of feeling the guilt and the frustration, and there is judgment there, and it's very hard for us to move into that curious play space that lets us actually allow the solutions that will work for our child and for ourselves as a parent as well. So,
Mhm.
yeah, what have you learned through your journey around releasing mum
Um,
guilt?
Gosh, I think I allow mom guilt to come
Mm,
in, like, briefly or momentarily.
mm,
It starts when you first hear your baby cry.
uh-huh.
I remember going to the doctor and oh man, those physicals, they can really get you because how many words is your child saying? How much do they weigh? I mean, oh my gosh, with my twins, it started with like, oh, they're losing weight. You're going to have to supplement your breast milk with formula. And, oh no, now it's not what I wanted it to be. And I've heard that, if babies aren't breastfed, they're not going to be as smart as, and that's my fault because I didn't create what I needed to create. Like it
Mhm.
starts then. Um, but I think it's really a conversation that you have with yourself. Like our minds know that it's going to be okay, and there's nothing I did personally to ruin that. If this child has 20 words, at 18 months, and then this one only has 10 words, I really learned through having more than one child that like I think I did the same things with all of them, you know. It really isn't up to me. There are so many factors,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when your baby cries because you're trying to let them cry it out because the doctor said you're not supposed to do night feedings anymore, and so
Mhm.
the only way to get her to not do night feedings is to sleep in her crib, And she cried for an hour, my oldest, and I was like, "I can't. I can't do it. Whatever the doctor said is the best thing is not going to be the best thing for me." And I think I learned from childbirth that I may have all these plans of this is my
Yeah.
plan and I want them all to go a certain way. And you just tick them off like,
Oh.
well, that didn't go as planned. Okay, well, that one didn't go as
Yeah,
planned.
yeah, yeah.
I guess I just have to accept what is because here was my
Yeah.
plan, and maybe I shouldn't have made a plan in the first place.
Oh my goodness, that's just such a metaphor for life, isn't it? I'm just thinking like, okay, I mean, being a parent and the whole process of creating a child and giving birth and raising them, all of that kind of thing is just such a beautiful metaphor for the creative process as a whole, right? Because
Mhm.
listening to you, I'm going, yeah, totally resonates for starters. And if you're a mom listening in and this resonates, you let us know, because we often feel like, oh my goodness, it's just me that took this, or that this didn't work out. And we can beat ourselves up so much. But I'm also thinking, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I'm thinking, yeah, this launch, that didn't go as planned, that didn't go as planned, or Christmas is coming up and Thanksgiving, and how often, right, do we have all these plans of exactly how it's going to be, and it's going to be so beautiful, and then boom, one thing happens, and if we let ourselves get into that stress state, if we push against it, if we go, oh my goodness, things aren't going as planned, then it's like the dam bursts and everything goes from that. Whereas if we can, coming back to the start of our call about the traffic, right? If we can go, okay, I can accept that. It's all going to be okay. It just completely changes the trajectory, right? And it feels that you know, parenting, being a parent, really focuses that, but it feels like this actually relates to any creative process in our lives. What are your thoughts on that?
Gosh, I kind of got lost in the idea that when
Yeah.
you asked me about mom guilt, I was thinking about this one time in particular when my oldest was
Mm,
7 and she was
mm.
crying because she didn't get some incentive that the whole school had had. And she
Oh,
was
yeah.
just, she was devastated. She'd worked so hard on it,
Mm,
and she
mm,
came, oh, Miss Leitner said she already had to turn it in yesterday and now I don't get to. And
mm.
it's funny how like that moment of mom guilt brought me all the way back to, gosh, that started in the womb of us feeling not good enough. But I was thinking, then I came to that particular moment, and yes, I could be sad with my daughter that she didn't get that incentive. It was an ice cream party,
Right.
but then you can go back and you can say, you know what? Let's have our own ice cream party. I'm going to take you to, wherever. It was McDonald's, and I'm going to get you a hot fudge sundae.
Right,
It
right,
costs
right, right.
$2.
Oh, yeah,
Right, and can't that work in our businesses as well? My launch
yeah,
didn't go so well, right? So I'm going to be creative. I can make the sale even if I don't do the launch the way everybody says it has to
yeah,
be, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
And I think, and honoring our kids' creative processes as well, this something's supposed to go a certain way, the art project is supposed to look this way, but it's art, right? So it's accepting that my art project is going to look this way and mine's not perfect and yours is going to look that way, and just accepting all of that as beautiful. And
mm,
where this has come up for me so much in my business, accepting kids where they're at and helping them grow from there, instead of beating ourselves up because the school says they're 8, they're in the 3rd grade, and they're supposed to read a certain kind of book with a certain number of words, and the words are supposed to be a certain size. And what's wrong with me that my child is reading at what the school says is 1st grade level when they're in the 3rd grade? And it's
yeah,
letting go of all of that and saying, what can I do to meet them where they are and to help them grow from that point, instead of beating myself up because their reading doesn't look like all of the other 8-year-olds, when that's not even, we have it since the pandemic, we've got a bunch of 8-year-olds who are struggling. Why not just back the truck up and say, look, we all missed
yeah,
2020. you know, let's let's look at their skills they were supposed to learn in 2020 and teach them now. I,
yeah. And then
I'm
and
putting off a lot.
I'm just thinking it's like that. Okay, well, 2020 was that ice cream party, but let's go and do a different ice cream party. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think, gosh, this is just such a powerful universal um, principle, maybe guidance in terms of
Mhm.
life, right? Which is um, instead of attaching to someone else's process of this is the way that things should be, which means that we then attach to other people's metrics of what it takes to measure up and be good enough. And this really relates to that imposter syndrome stuff too, because we're going, someone's going to come along and measure, and I'm not going to measure up, right?
Mhm,
And how
mhm.
often do we do that as a parent with our kids at school, in terms of our parenting skills, in terms of our health, right? Am I the perfect shape, the perfect size, all of this kind of stuff, in terms of business, in terms of our relationships? We do it, it seems to me, across every dimension. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think all of it could be a metaphor, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I love it. I keep thinking about our inner children, right? Because there's our kids, and then we go, okay, actually, everyone we interact with, and particularly when there's any stress involved, right? It's almost like that child version of ourselves comes out. There's all this brain
Mhm,
science around it, but we kind of forget that we're often not dealing with the adult. We are dealing with that child, and so the stuff that you're sharing even comes up when we're dealing with other adults. I feel, in terms of being curious
mhm,
about, I wonder what's really going on, or if they're struggling to meet that external expectation, I wonder what's really going on. Is there another approach we could take that actually recognizes who they are? And I want to ask you a bit, because I know you've got some tips um, to share, but I just want to, I suppose, can I just a really a little recap just before we get onto those tips? A quick recap of some of the themes that have been coming out of this, because yeah, they absolutely apply for us as parents with kids who might be struggling in school, but there's kind of some powerful life lessons, for want of a better term, insights, guidance, whatever, that I think we can apply for all areas of our life. So if I just run through what has come out for me, and I'll, see, there might be things that I've missed that you want to add in as well. And again, for all of those of you who are listening in, feel free to add yours, because everyone hears through and perceives through a different lens, and so all of our insights and nuggets contribute to us, to a co-creation of the big picture. And so there's that really powerful thing in terms of the imposter syndrome. First up, of accepting ourselves, where we're at, and the context we're in, as the stuff I can't control. I'll accept that and focus on what I can control. And um and recognizing that when we do have that voice of doubt, the questions come up, why me, whatever, um that we don't have to buy into it. So what I really loved, Sharon, about what you shared, is about that big perception shift. This is a massive reframe, that actually everybody I'm interacting with is unique and special, right? They're on their own journey. They've collected their own expertise and skills and experience and all of that stuff. And so have I. So we're all on equal footing, and we all have different sets of expertise to bring to the situation. And that feels very powerful. You see so much of it happening. We seem to be really shifting into that recently too, where people are moving more into more of a collaborative kind of mindset in some areas. And if we can bring this to our families and the parenting and school, I think it would make a massive difference. But the thing that I also really loved about that is how, what you shared about you actually looking at yourself and everything that you've done and collecting the evidence to support. Actually, yeah, I have got a unique mix of things. So you looked at all of that and you went, oh, boom, look at that. I have this package and no one else has this package. So that's around really knowing yourself and having that self-awareness to collect that evidence. And once we have it, we just can keep building on it, right? Which is fantastic. So it's that framework of, I said collaboration before, but you used a beautiful word around symbiosis, creating that symbiosis between everyone involved. So if we're talking about the reading journey, it's a symbiosis between your child as unique and special and on their journey, and yourself bringing your own unique sort of skills and experience as a parent, and then the educators involved who are supporting your child. It's bringing that symbiosis rather than um, any any one person being the expert who tells the others what to do, right?
mhm,
And that can, it feels, allow a space for flourishing. You said accepting our young people, and also any human being really, accepting them where they're at and helping them grow from there. I thought that was just um, it's So one of those things that's like so obvious, but so easy for us to forget because we have all of this noise coming in going, but they should be reading at this level and they should be writing like this and they should have this kind of attitude, right?
Mhm, mhm,
The school my children go to, we get a report every term near the end of the term, which is called their Attitude to Learning Report. And it has the teachers, and apparently it's based on all sorts of evidence, but it comes across as being very subjective, where the teachers rate our children on things like how they dress, how ready they are to learn, that kind of stuff. Are they excellent or are they not? Or, there's different
mhm,
levels.
mhm,
And it's like, what is that about? It's judging who you are as a human based on. And so, if we can move away from that kind of stuff and instead just accept, regardless of anyone else's metrics or expectations, accept the strengths and where they're at and how we can help them with that. Um, I just want to slip that because that's just an example of another of the ways that out of a place of desiring to help, it can be just so harmful for the way that kids and parents see themselves. Um, so I just invite you to see if there's anything else that you want to draw out of our conversation in terms of a quick recap, and then let's dive into some tips. And you've got some things to share with people as well too. So
mhm,
yeah. So do
mhm.
I. So I'll share mine very quickly. Actually, is that I will be doing show notes of this because we're covering a lot. So anyone who wants a summary of some of these key themes that we've covered, let me know. I'll get it to you. There we go. And you can just let me know through just drop a comment or whatever, to let me know, and I'll get that to you. So Sharon, what do you want to add in terms of key takeaways that you'd like to highlight?
I think you really touched on, meeting a child and meeting people where they are,
Mm,
and especially as we're teaching, we want growth from where
mm,
they're at. I think the other thing, my big aha was, if we miss the ice cream party, we can create our own,
yeah.
and like that can be in so many other ways, but especially with our kids. Oh gosh, that it breaks my heart thinking about
Mm,
that, your attitude to learning, because there's so there's so much to that. I
mhm,
can remember
mhm.
teaching, and this blonde girl had started to put colored streaks in her hair, like blue or something. And I knew that our district code of, conduct had no, your hair color had to be a natural color. And so I talked to her and I was like, "Oh, sweetie, I think, that's not allowed at school." And then I started looking around me, and all kinds of adults are starting to weave,
Yeah.
bright pink and blue and purple into their hair, and she's really just modeling what she sees as an
Mhm,
adult. And I went to my principal and I went, "What is our rule anymore about that?" Because now all of a sudden I'm feeling uncomfortable that I told
mhm,
her not to, when her parents probably are.
mhm,
So, and then really, when we get to that point of judging how people dress, do you have tattoos? Do you have color in your hair? Do you have piercings? Like, that's so old school. And I think we really need to accept those expressions of creativity and individuality. That's
yeah.
really important with kids. Years ago, my mom said, if we don't let our kids dress like their friends, they're going to want to do everything else like their friends. And then we're going to be sorry, because they're going to make a choice to drink like their friends or do drugs like their friends. And, it's
Mhm.
choosing their battles. I know I grabbed a new piece, but like, just choose your battles, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really beautiful new piece to choose, and it's all starts with that releasing the judgment and allowing people to
Mhm,
express who they actually are on their own
mhm,
unique journey, right?
mhm.
Without judging. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Can you imagine if we could just all choose to do that? How different would the world be, right? And it starts with actually doing it with ourselves. That's where the imposter syndrome comes from, right? Is we're judging
Mhm.
ourselves based on what we think other people's expectations are. For all we know, they're doing the same thing in comparison to
Yeah,
us. We don't, right? There's a very
yeah,
good chance when you think about it. And
yeah.
it's releasing that judgment and allowing people to express their own creativity. You did that beautifully. And in that, we could look at it as picking your battles. We could look at it as where's the lowest hanging fruit in this?
Mhm.
What's that most available or easiest opportunity to allow that expression? So that's absolutely gorgeous. So you have so for anyone who's listening who's going, oh my goodness, I want more. Sharon actually also has a free Facebook group. If you are a parent of school-aged kids and some of this stuff resonates, and I'm just going to give you the address. There it is. School-age mums is the group. So it's readers.live school-age mums. Did I get that right there, Sharon?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So there's an open invitation for you there. It's free, and it's just another way for you to tap into some of these wisdoms and insights for you as a parent as well. And this is a series of course, and really this is about manifestation. So if you're watching this going, I thought this was Manifestation Monday, let me give you the manifestation aha that Sharon has maybe even unwittingly shared with us. Sharon, would you like to know how you've leveraged the power of manifestation in your life?
Yes.
Something you said right at the start was really amazing. So Sharon shared her story, and this is what's so cool. When Sharon was a young girl, she used to sit with her dolls and she used to play teacher. And she went there in her imagination. She was teaching the dolls. She was doing all of the things that you do as a teacher. She was sitting them there. She was interacting. She was helping them learn. She was writing out the name cards nicely for each one on the first day so that they'd feel that they belonged. And she was going through that whole process. Right. And guess what? Sharon has lived that in her life and then taken that to a whole new level by actually committing to that growth in her students. No longer dolls, now actual humans, and committing to that growth and creating that symbiosis so that that growth can be facilitated without having to turn those real human beings into that, round peg that we're trying to squish into a square hole, which can happen if we just leave it up to the system. But when we relate to it on that human level and see them as the creative beings that they are, so they can have the support, it's a whole different thing. So that is manifestation at its best. It's tapping into that thing that we truly desire, going there in our imagination and bringing in the secret ingredient, which is play. I was thinking of you on your very first day there going, oh my goodness, this is play. Maybe the others will find out that for me, this is just a game. How magical would it be if we could all live our lives in our business from that space of that play energy? Because that's so magnetic, right? And then you actually got recognized and moved up the ladder so you could share that energy of play and allowing in other ways. That is manifestation at its finest. So I just really wanted to share that. For those of you who like this kind of call and tapping into these concepts around how do we create and have the impact we really want in our lives, again, let me know if you'd like me to put you on the reminder list, and I'll let you know each time. Right, so you have some tips that you'd like to share. And I have one particular thing I want to ask about, which you may already be covering. So dive in. What tips do you have for parents who, whether they're in my hemisphere and going, oh my goodness, we're getting to the crunch end of the year, our kids are burned out, there's this pressure, they're stressed, or in the northern hemisphere, it's we've just come off the summer holidays, they're back into the thick of it now and really settled in, and they're going, oh, and not feeling seen and not feeling recognized, or maybe struggling. What tips do you have for the parents to support their kids?
Yeah. So I was really thinking about what is just one thing. And I think so many times when kiddos are stressed and anxious about school, when they're supposed to be working or reading and they start to misbehave, I think so many times it comes from there's an expectation up here and they might be down here a little bit. And I have my own feelings, not all 8-year-olds act and do a certain way, but the curriculum in the traditional school is created that way. So you might have a child who's in 3rd grade and they're trying to read a book that says it's for 8-year-olds. This says it's for grades, 2nd through 5th. And I'm right in the middle of that. And this should be a book that I enjoy. And so many parents are like, oh, I wish my kid enjoyed reading, but they don't. And I think that this is the thing where I'm like, if I could talk, it would only be 5 minutes because I feel like everybody knows this. But I have found that they don't. It really is in finding your child's reading level. What is that reading level that they are comfortable with, that that book is easy to read, that they could sit in a corner and read all day long without pausing to, what's that word and what's that word mean? That's where they get frustrated. They try to work their way through this book and they can only read, if the book has 100 words, they can only read 50 of them.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
not enjoyable at all. you know I mean, I imagine myself, if I can pronounce words in Spanish. So if I read something, I know the accent, I know how the vowels go, right? I could read a whole page in Spanish, and my students have even said, Miss Frazier, you speak Spanish? Nope, I don't. I can read the word,
Mm,
I can, say the words out loud, but I have no clue what any of those words mean. And so I don't know what that page is.
mhm.
That's what a lot of our kids are sitting in class doing. They're just reading this book that's like, it's too hard. And then, so they're pretending to read because they want to look like everybody else, but then that gets boring. And so they start looking out the window, or they start playing with their pencil, and, oh, look, my pencil needs to be sharpened. Oh, what happens if I sharpen my eraser? All that's more fun than pretending to read. And
Mm.
and so I would love for parents to have this tool. I've created this tool so that you can know what your child's reading level is. And then I will help you choose books that are at that level, so that your child can now be in the correct book where they can just enjoy what's happening and enjoy what's going on.
Yeah.
And I have all kinds of help for them, as far as, like, if they're reading this picture book and everybody else is reading a 500-page novel, that's where we can give them a tablet so that it's same. Right now, I'm reading my level on a tablet, and nobody knows, because
Mhm,
kids get
mhm.
imposter syndrome too.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at me, they see I'm reading a picture book, and now they think I'm dumb. There's
Mm.
ways around that. you know
Yeah, yeah.
and so that's my tool. It's just this quick and simple reading assessment, reading level quiz, for you to know exactly your child's reading level, so that they can now join the party. They can know what's going on too.
I love that. And yeah, again, it's about the fun. Let them join the party instead of it feeling, I mean, how bad is it for our self-esteem, even as adults, right? If we're doing something and we can only follow half of it, it certainly doesn't make us feel included, and it certainly doesn't make us feel like we belong. Talk about not good
Mhm.
enoughness, imposter syndrome. So it's a beautiful thing to be able to just allow them to be themselves. So Sharon's free assessment tool, I've popped it up there, readers.live/free assessment. And what that enables you to do with your child, and this is very similar, like anyone I'm working with as a coach too, or even if we're just planning a trip, right? Yeah, we cannot plan anything or navigate anything unless we know where we're starting from, and unless we can recognize that and go, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. We're starting from here. And so this free assessment tool allows you to do that with your child and to say, it's okay that this has felt like you don't fit, because that's not who you are right now. Who you are right now is this. And so we can have some fun with that and join the party and be able to do it in a way that releases the judgment. Is so beautiful. So if you are in that situation with your child and they're struggling in that area, you can get that free assessment tool there. And then you can tap in, and as well, if you join Sharon's Facebook group, readers.live/school age mums. Um, there's extra support that you can get there as well. And if you love these calls, do let me know, and I'll make sure you get reminders of future ones, because we always bring out so many juicy gems for how we can all live our lives better, right? Not better, everything's always perfect as it is, right? Because it's the next step to where we want to be, but live our lives in a way that we can create the life that we choose. So thank you so much, Sharon. This has been just so wonderful to bring you on the call. Um, may I just ask you one quick question to wrap up? Because you dropped a teaser earlier, which I went, oh my goodness. And that was, you said one of the things that you've learned, and I know this is probably a really big topic. So if there's just one thing you'd like to share in 30 seconds, kind of thing, um, how I can help children calm down.
Hmm.
Because it seems to me that we almost need to do that before we dive into the assessment tool with them, right? So that they can do it from a place of calmness.
It can really be as simple as
Mm.
I have a list of emotions that
Mm.
I put on the refrigerator, and it has all kinds of emojis. I got it from somebody else, a friend of mine who I used to teach with. But if we can get kids to recognize what it is that they're feeling now, and then give them some tools to regulate. Oh my gosh, this is it really is a whole other conversation. Because as a singer, I've done a lot of breathing work that
Yeah.
it works. It works for helping kids calm down too. If we slow down our breath, we slow down our heart rate. Like that's science. And so then like where our body goes, our minds will follow. And so there are a number of just slow breathing techniques that I've taught my own daughter, and so she'll go, we'll go, Abby, what are you feeling right now? And she'll say, I'm feeling really angry because I have to clean up everything and Daniel's not doing anything. And I'm like, okay, what strategy are we going to use, to help you we call it the green zone, help you get into the green zone, into a more calm place. And she'll usually say, yes, I want to do, we do like infinity breathing where, we
Nice.
breathe in and then breathe out.
Oh, I love the kinesthetic aspect. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And out. And that's kind of her favorite thing. Yeah, we get our whole body involved. And I'm calmer because I'm breathing with her.
Yeah. And what you'll actually be doing, this is really cool, is because you're doing it together, and our heart rates are going down. And what that actually does on a very subconscious level is we get entrained to each other's breathing rate. And when we slow our breathing, it's telling our nervous system, I'm safe, and that helps things dial down too, which is why that's so. Just tip, this is not just for kids, this is for us adults too, when we're feeling that. So any kind of breath work is fantastic. And what I love about that as well is you're seeing and acknowledging the emotion. And when we do that, we're changing our relationship with it. Which is hugely powerful too. So teaching our kids these even those two simple things, that is setting them up for a life of so much more resilience. And isn't that one of the things that we need the most in the world, that our kids are growing into and that we're living in right now? So that was an absolute gem. Thank you for letting me drop that one on you at the last minute. So I just want to, so I'm going to wrap up there. We've covered a lot. Let me know. Just type yes, please, or notes, or whatever you want to type, just to let me know if you would like a copy of the show notes from this, and I'll make sure you get those, because and I'll do a quick summary as well, a quick summary video. I'll get that to you as well, because we have covered a lot, whether it's for you as a business person, as a human being, as a parent, or in terms of specifically whatever you're seeing in your own child. You can, there's nuggets here for all of those. So we'll wrap up there as well. You've got the link there for Sharon's free assessment tool, readers.live/free assessment, and the group there as well, readers.live/school-mums, if you want to stay in touch with her. Sharon, I would just love to thank you so much for overcoming the famous Los Angeles traffic in order to join us today, and for sharing so much, and for bringing your human story to this, because you are just one of those beautiful examples of the impact that we can have in the lives of other people, and how we can create an amazing ripple effect, because we chose to keep taking those little steps and not listen to that voice that said, who on earth am I to blah, 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 right? Oh my goodness, imagine if you had actually let that voice win, instead of leaning into who you're here to be and following what you put in place for yourself when you were that child playing at being teacher, going, this is what I really want to do. If you'd let that dream go, then how many lives would be just tougher and more difficult and so much less fulfilled than they are now? So I just want to celebrate that. Thank you so much. So it's been my pleasure to share Sharon with you all. I'm Anna McKinley, helping you as a parent, as a mum, as an entrepreneur, as someone working from home, and as someone wanting to show up and support your own children through their own unique and special journey. That's what I'm here for. So Manifestation Mondays, we're drawing out more of these lessons from other real humans just like you, so that you can tap into your own greatness and share it with the world in whatever way feels best for you. Thanks so much for joining us. I will see you next week. And Sharon, thank you again. It's been so much fun.
Oh, yes, it's been fun. Thank you.
Awesome. You enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. We will see you again soon. Bye.